So this time we're going to start the video with the dog because he's been interrupting me way too many times. This is Vincent Miletti with Miletti Law, the strongest name in law. I am Vincent Miletti, the founder, owner, partner, lead, God King, everything here, and daddy to flex of Miletti Law. The day now is February 2nd, 2022. It is about 1:41 p.m. This is take number 755 of this video I'm trying to do. So, first and foremost, make sure you go to the subscribe button over there on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're always in the know. Make sure you sign up to the newsletter at our website at www.milettilaw.com, www.milettilaw.com. He is relentless. Okay, so let's get down into it, people. So, all right, so the point of this video is I wanted to do another Q&A series. Questions come in all the time, and I think that, now that really a lot of the fighting with the employers has really come to a head with the nurses, it's come to a head with the hospitals, and everybody's really kind of drawing their battle lines. So a lot of these questions come in where, for someone from my perspective that I've had like a lot of employment cases over the years, that these things are kind of like commonplace for me, but for a lot of you, they're really not, right? So a lot of these questions come in. So what I generally do is we just catalog them. I'm going to try to make as many videos as I could, whenever I can, to just dump something in there. So this way you all have a couple of questions addressed. So, little by little, a lot of these videos are going to be out there and they're going to be updated daily. So, I'm sure in every video, Flex is going to go ahead and interrupt me, and he's going to hit the camera endlessly because he can't seem to just, like he did now, because he can't seem to just mind his P's and Q's when I have the camera rolling. Meanwhile, he could sleep all day otherwise. Second he hears daddy speak, he wants to knock on this. All right, so let's get down to it. So one of the questions that comes in is unpaid commissions, So obviously everybody, I represent a lot of nurses, a lot of civil service people, all in New York, mostly in New York. With the vaccine mandates, a lot of them lost their jobs, quit their jobs, whatever the case is. Question comes up, wages, right? So what do you do with these commissions? So what's the rule of commissions in New York? So, when it comes to all these wage questions, right, there are 4 items you always want to ask. One, when it comes to commissions, there's always 4 items you want to always look at. How you kind of like assess where your ability is to prevail or what the laws are in your jurisdiction. You always want to ask, 1, are they considered wages under your state law? 2, when are those commissions considered earned under state law? 3, are they subject for forfeiture or termination? And 4, how long does the employer have to pay these out upon separation of employment? So those are the 4 big questions you always want to ask in every situation. So you kind of want to start every analysis there, right? So we are in New York. These questions are coming in New York. So let's get right down to it. As far as the first question, are these commissions considered wages under state law? Yes, they are. New York Labor Law 190, 190, and then in parentheses 190, New York Labor Law section 190, subsection 1, 190 subsection 1, you will find commissions as wages in New York, which means that because they are wages, they're subject to, wage and hour laws and protections. The second question is going to be, when are these commissions deemed as earned? So in New York, all commissions-based positions, all commissions should be in writing. That's what the statute wants. That's what New York wants. New York wants all commissions in writing in New York. All commission programs and policies in writing. So that's your first thought. They should all be in writing. They should all be subject to a written agreement, okay? Sometimes they're not subject to a written agreement. If they are not subject to a written agreement, then what happens is it goes to what's known as what is the express and implied agreement between the people. So for instance, what have you and your employer practiced over the years? How have you been doing this over the years with commissions? So that's going to be a key. The third item is going to be, if there's no written agreement in place and you really can't come up with the system, you really can't articulate how you and your employer have been exchanging and providing compensation for these commissions over time, then New York has a rule that whenever the employee produces a ready, willing, and able to make the purchase customer, they're entitled to commissions. So ready, willing, and able to purchase. So commissioned employee works at a clothing store, gets commission on all the clothing. When the commissioned employee brings someone to the register, says, hey, Bob here is going to buy all these shirts, and he's going to buy them right now. When Bob comes to the register, makes the payment, makes the purchase, right away, immediately, if you don't have a written policy in place, that's generally how it works. They are ready, willing, and able to make the purchase. They make the purchase, you're entitled to commissions. So let that kind of one be a lesson to employers. If you want to control this dialogue and not always give in to the employee, you got to have it in writing. Employees, the law will be very beneficial and in your favor, will give you a lot of deference, but you most likely have one in writing, so make sure you chase your employer and get it in writing. So commission, so just to go through it again, commissions are deemed as earned either A, in accordance with your writing between you and your employer, B, whether it's an express implied or what is the pattern and practice of how you typically pay out commissions over time, or 3, if there's no such agreement in place and there's no such analysis in place, then we want to look to when the employer produces a ready, willing, and able customer. So, okay, so that's when commissions are deemed earned. Then again, it's the next one is commission subject to forfeiture on termination. So the general rule in New York is always going to be no, right? So every time you ask this question in New York before the Wage and Hour Committee or before a court, it's always going to start with a no. If there's something that falls outside, or if there's something that the employee could show afterwards that that's not the case, then you go into your arguments back and forth. So generally speaking, once they're earned in New York, they're not subject to forfeiture. So if you have an agreement that tells you when they're earned, that's a different ball game. If you don't have an agreement that doesn't tell you when they're earned, that's a different ball game. So you got to go back to the second question, whether or not when they are deemed as earned. But if they are earned in New York, they're considered yours, and you can't really forfeit them, even if you're not currently employed with people. You can't generally forfeit them in New York. New York is very serious over that. The final question you always want to ask, because this is how you're going to raise your liability, is how long do employees have to pay out on commissions upon the separation of employment? Of course, when like we were saying this whole time, if there's something pursuant to a contract, the contract will dictate it. Without a contract, generally it's going to be within 5 business days after termination. If in some instances it could be within 5 business days of when they're actually typically due. So to keep this in a way that you could actually articulate and work with. Generally speaking, earned commission should be paid out within either 5 days from termination or should be paid out at the time of your next regularly scheduled interval payment. Just like, in New York, any other employee that if they're terminated from employment and they have wages earned, they're supposed to be paid wages in the course of business, in the next scheduled course of business as they got to be paid. This follows the same rule generally. It's either going to, unless there's something in writing, it's either going to be 5 days from the point of separation when they're earned, or it's going to be no greater than 5 days from the point in which they're supposed to be paid out on the next course of business on your regularly scheduled interval payments. So those are your 5 questions. So that's how they're generally going to handle in New York. Remember, your big 3 questions are going to be, in any analysis, is going to be 1, are they considered wages? Because if they are, they are entitled to all those wage protections. 2, when are they considered earned? 3, are they subject to forfeiture? And 4, how long until after your employment you separate from employment, you terminate it, or your employment ceases, that your employer has to actually pay you out on it. So I hope this was helpful. This kind of gives you a general sense of what money you are owed and entitled to. So, a lot of you have these questions that come in. I understand these questions. I'm hoping that these videos make these questions a little bit easier to understand, a little bit more predictable for you. New York is obviously when it comes to employment law, New York is complex. New York does offer a lot of protections to employees. So, but what specifically those protections are, and they're always caveated by something, so we just really have to distill to them. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, obviously you can come back to the website at, www.milettilaw.com, www.milettilaw.com, and you could just leave me a message, you could just leave me an email, you could leave me a note, whatever the case is. I'm more than happy to help you. If you have to retain something, more than happy to help and take you on as a client, see if we can help you. Leave comments in the YouTube video. Again, we try to be as available as possible to all our potential clients, all our fans, all our friends, and all our members of our newsletter and subscribers to our channel. So, if you have any questions, obviously, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. And as always, yours in laws, loves, and lifts, staying usually motivated. This is Vinny Miletti, the owner, founder, principal, God, King, ruler of all things created here at Miletti Law. And we'll see you at the next video. Have a beautiful day.